All right, so here we are for the outdoor shooting. It is a bit windy, so if there is some wind noise, I do apologize. But what I'm going to be starting off with is the K3 color, and I'm going to be shooting the bridge that's just down there, along with this scenery here. Again, pretty much exact same lenses, 35 millimeter f2.8 limited macro, and that's the SMC version, and the HD 35 f2.8 limited macro lenses. Now this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually focus on the exposure of the scene, so it's a dead even exposure, not underexposed or overexposed. Settings on the cameras will correlate to a dead even exposure so that you can really see the difference in how the light is actually read by each camera versus from the color one over to the monochrome converted K3. And all right, well, let's just get started. Now I'm not going to ramp through each individual ISO. The last video was pretty long. I'm going to just shoot random. Well, not random. I'm gonna, 1, 2, skip a few, 99, 100, that kind of thing. So, all right, let's just get the shots done. That's 1/500th of a second f8 at ISO 200. And now let's go up to ISO 400, 1/800th of a second, actually 1/1000th of a second. And ISO 800, maybe I'll just run through the ISOs. 1/2000th of a second, f8. (16) at 1/4000th of a second, and 32 at 1/8000th of a second. So I'm going to have to change the aperture for the next one. Let's go to f11 and 64 at 1/8000th. And 12,800 f16, and this is about as far as I'm going to be able to go because I'm still at 1/8000th of a second here. So that's as far as I can go with that. Okay, so the next shots I'm going to be doing are just down there. It's this straight clear view right in between those two pieces of brush, tree, shrub, very, very small trees. And same thing, gonna ramp up through the ISO range. Again, dead center exposure for each camera. And I'm gonna start with the K3 monochrome and then switch over to the K3 color. But I guess that doesn't really matter because it's a matter of how I put it all together in the final edit of the video, which is what you're going to be watching. So, all right, let's just get to it. Okay, so here we have the images that I had taken with the K3 color on the left side and the K3 monochrome on the right side. Now, these are the DNGs. I ran the DNGs for the K3 color through DxO, and I turned off all lighting corrections. I turned off noise reduction. I turned off everything. The only thing I left was lens vignetting correction. Everything else is completely turned off. Lens sharpness, everything's turned off. So for the K3 monochrome converted camera, I ran that through monochrome to DNG and then had that saved as a DNG, as you can see here. So this is a proper comparison of the DNG files directly in outdoor lighting. So let's just go. I started at ISO 200 and then this was 400. As you can see, the K3 Monochrome is a much brighter image in comparison to the K3 color image. It's a very, very big difference. And I did one extra shot with the K3 Monochrome. Just wanted to see, just differences in regards to the brightness and sensitivity. These images, because I don't know why, but Windows does not allow this to display correctly, so we're going to skip the portrait-oriented photos, and we're going to continue on with the landscape ones. So here's a very good example as to how much more sensitive the K3 Monochrome actually is to light. So this bridge here, as you'll see, all this, this is much brighter. You can see this square right here, and this is just a much darker image here. The vibrancy is just gone on the K3 color image. Let's see, 56. You can clearly see there is a pretty big difference in regards to the brightness of each one of these shots. And it's more of the same as we ramp up through the ISO range. Just the sensitivity on a color censored Bayer camera is not the same as a dedicated monochrome camera. It's much, much brighter, and to me more contrastier, I guess, is if that's even a word. But yeah, there is a pretty large difference if you are specifically looking to shoot monochrome shots. Then yes, if that is what you're going to be focused on, or it really interests you, then you will get a lot of use out of a dedicated monochrome camera compared to a standard color camera, which you've converted the images over to monochrome. There is a very large difference. The light sensitivity is much, much different. As you can see between all these, it's pretty stark difference. During my first attempt, this is exactly what happened, and this seems to happen every time I'm out and about trying to get a video done. There's always one of these. Okay, now switch cameras. Let's make sure I got these settings correct here. F4, ISO 200, 1/200.
Bicycle riders or RC?
Sorry?
Or just a picture of the forest?
Oh, no, I'm comparing two different cameras. It's for a YouTube channel that I have.
Okay. Bicycle riders come through, or
Oh, no.
RC guys come through?
No, well, there was one guy on his bicycle. I don't know where he...
Came down, went back up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Nikon versus Canon?
No. Same, exactly the same cameras.
Yeah.
Just one's been converted strictly to monochrome, so it only shoots black and white.
Okay.
Versus a regular color camera,
Yeah.
exact same model, but showing the difference between an actual dedicated monochrome camera versus the exact same camera that just shoots color, and then trying to change that to black and white. It's yeah, the dynamic range, the highlights, the shadows, and like the difference between an actual, because a lot of people are wondering, like, why pay for a monochrome camera when you can just make your color image black and white? But there is a big difference.
Oh, yeah, there is a big difference.
Yeah. Is there a monochrome dedicated camera coming to me? No. What? You did all these videos, you did all this stuff for the monochrome, and you're gonna say no? I'm gonna say no because shooting monochrome is not my thing. Straight up, that is not my thing. I do see the advantages. The advantages are very clear. Monochrome dedicated camera does have advantages in regards to shooting black and white. That's what it's for. So if you are going to be pursuing black and white monochrome photography, then yes, getting a dedicated monochrome censored camera would be a great benefit to yourself. However, that is not my wheelhouse. Once in a while, I will shoot monochrome, usually for street photography, things like that. It's very once in a while. I'm not a street photography shooter. It's not something I focus on. I prefer color. That's just my thing, especially wildlife, things like that. You know, color, right? So having a dedicated monochrome camera just for myself would not make any sense. As I said, the differences are very clear. Monochrome sensor camera is a much better investment if you're going to be focusing on black and white monochrome and you have the means to be able to acquire a monochrome dedicated camera. But for myself, that's not really, it's not viable for myself. I can't justify the purchase for the little bit of time that I actually would be utilizing it. But this was a very interesting findings. I wasn't expecting the differences to be what they are. I was expecting exposures to be totally different, but they weren't. They're very close. You know, obviously the monochrome camera does pick up more light, so it is a brighter exposure, all things considered. I am still going to be doing a K3 comparison to the K3 original converted monochrome camera, utilizing my black and white settings that I've already set in the custom image mode on my K3 III. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up. And yeah, that's it. If you like the video, leave a like. If you have not already, please do subscribe. Always helps out. Always hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell. Bing! All that fun stuff, if that's what you're into. And if you're not, well, then change your mind. Get into it. Yeah, so if you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. If you want to support the channel, that info's down there at the bottom as well. And thanks for watching. This has been an interesting experience, and thanks for following along. And stay tuned for the next installment, which will be the final video for the black and white monochrome comparison. And that's it. I'm going to go. You'll see me in my next video. I'm out.